Ready to go. Good morning, good evening, everyone, no matter where you are in the Arab world or in the diaspora. Welcome. My name is Tiffany Tota. I'm a marriage and family therapist coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. And I am the founder and CEO of Illuminate by Tota. And we are here to provide emotional health and wellness tools and for our Arab culture, within our Arab cultural context. With that said, we offer hope for change, that we come from a collective culture. And in that, we may have experienced significant trauma. And with that said, we can also have healing. All right. So I'm joined by Mira. Give us a few minutes. We got 2 minutes before we get started. So maybe put in. So today we are going to, I feel like I'm all over the place. Today we are going to talk, because we got like 3 screens happening. Today we are going to talk about bridging the gap between parents and Arab children in our Arab culture. So if you are an Arab parent, I'm really going to encourage you to be open your heart to what some of the things I'm going to say today. They may be extremely triggering. It is not meant to shame you or to say you're doing things wrong. It's about creating an awareness so you can have more clarity in perhaps moving forward in a space with your children in a way that can help bridge the gap, communication. And for Arab children, adult Arab children, this is a space for you to be really honest with yourself around this relationship you may have with your parents. I'll say this once, I'll say it 1,000 times. It's not because they're bad people. It's not that they haven't done wonderful things, yet denying the reality of the impact on you emotionally is not going to help you move forward in your life and in your own emotional health and wellness. So, with that said, in the comments, let us know where you're at. And while you guys are doing that, Mira and I are going to set up a little bit. All right, Mira, what is happening?
And we have people joining in. Just give them a few minutes. It takes a few minutes for everyone to join.
Yes.
And we always start by the question, where are you from? So let us know.
Yep. All right, let me get situated. How's the lighting? How's everything?
Lighting looks good.
Good.
Looks good. Yes. On all platforms. We're streaming on 3 platforms, so bear with us.
All right, good. We'll give people a couple minutes. Good morning, Ibrahim. Good morning. Or good. Oh, yeah, you're in California. So, yes, good morning. I can say that. Let's see. What about TikTok? How's everybody?
They're still joining.
Everybody's quiet. Lissa sleepy. Lissa winding down from work. Good morning. Hey, you guys, just as an update, I am taking Arabic classes. So I wanted to put a huge shout out to my Arabic teacher, Raja. هي في غزة. Raja, أنا بتحاول أحكي عربي more. Okay, so correct me. We're going to use the lives as a way to help improve Morahaja. I got to tell you guys, listen, children of immigrant, like if you're in the diaspora, let me tell you, once you start taking Arabic classes, we are saying things wrong. we say things wrong. Oh, but I'm trying. All right. Where's everybody coming in from? وين احنا? صباح الخير. What else did I learn? Oh, it's 8:02. So I guess if people are still joining, hi, Crystal Habibti. Crystal, I love you, Crystal. Okay, let's see. If any of my family members are in the background watching me, let yourselves be known. I like to hear from you. I don't hear from you, but you guys listen to my lives apparently, which is awesome. Thank you for the support. All right, good morning. Oh, Montana, Jilnar, 2323. Montana in the US. No way. Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful state. I can't imagine there being that many Arab there. Sara, good to see you from Sweden. Awesome. Love that. I might be going to Sweden maybe early next year. So if I'm in Sweden, I know it's a large, not a large country, but I know we'll see where we're at. Let's see who else. All right. Okay, so for those that are joining, let's get started. So this is part 3. So part 1 and part 2. Mita, are they on YouTube, part 1 and 2? Yes, okay, thank you. So we're going to talk about bridging the gap between adult parents and adult children in Arab culture. So like I said, it's a 3-part series. So part 1 and 2 you will find, but let me do a quick recap. In part 1, we talked about understanding the cultural context. We explored traditional Arab family values, some of the modern challenges associated with them, and why conflict happens within Arab families. Now, we discussed how many parents were raised in environments that were shaped by survival, scarcity, political instability, immigration, displacement, and collective responsibility. I mean, the list goes on in what our parents have experienced. Now, as Arab children, especially those of us in the diaspora, we were often raised in environments that emphasized individuality, self-expression, emotional awareness, emotional health, and personal choice. So as a result, both generations often viewed the world through a very different lens, which often creates conflict. So despite everybody wanting love and connection, these worldviews can really shift that. Then in part 2, we talked about building our cultural strengths by understanding our parents' limitations. Now, that led us to having a long discussion around cultivating neutrality. Now, if you really want to build the gap between your parent and yourself, cultivating this neutrality, which is all in the video in part 2, we talk extensively about neutrality doesn't mean not feeling your feelings. It does not mean you're dismissing what is happening. It means feeling them fully while responding from a place of empowerment. Now, it also means accepting your parents for who they are. This is one of the things that the biggest challenges I see working within our cultural context over the 20 plus years I've been doing this is accepting your parents for who they are instead of wishing they were different. We also talked about separating understanding from excusing harmful behavior and no longer making your emotional health and wellness dependent on their validation. That's another huge one that I see. So today, we are going to build on that foundation by talking about how to reparent yourself. Now, a lot of this is what psychology refers to as inner child work. I know sometimes people make fun of that term, oh, my inner child, right? And I'm saying, well, yeah, change the word to whatever you want to change it. In my experience as a clinician, within our cultural context, this has been the effect of some of the deepest healing happening is through this idea of reparenting ourselves. Because many times we're not responding from the adult self. So people will say, Tiffany, I feel so much shame. I went off on my parents. I'm like, okay, well, part of it, and they knew they were being irrational. And I said, well, you weren't responding as the adult you. You're responding from the child that was subjected to criticism, judgment, emotional suppression, shame, or dismissal. So part of it's understanding that. And the question for today is really, how do I care for the parts of me that need healing? So many people within our cultural context have so much denial around the pain, and I get it. But if you were gently going to open yourself up to say, I have a lot of wounds around certain events and certain things that have happened to me, you want to do it gently and slowly, that those wounds need compassion. there's one thing that I see among adult Arab children is the amount of intense criticism and shame that comes. And so you need compassion. You need support. Those parts of you need validation from within you. So healing isn't about pretending, because we like to pretend. Difficult experiences didn't happen. Let me rephrase that. I don't think we like to pretend. I do think it is a survival mechanism for sure. It's about acknowledging them honestly while deciding how you want to move forward. How do you want to move forward? Many of you talk to me about, Tiffany, I'm stuck. I can't get out of this. I'm just in this constant shame cycle. I can't get out of this. Well, because you may be trying to move forward from how other people's lens or what they need you to do versus you doing a deeper self-reflection on what do you need to move forward. So the framework that we work with here at Illuminate by, the company that we have a framework where we discuss all this, and it is quite effective. And so we'll talk about that a little later. But before I begin, I want to ask you all a question. How have you bridged the gap between you and your parents? Okay, how have you bridged the gap? What are some things you've done? Or what have you tried to do? Whether it worked or not, it doesn't matter. Many of you have done so many things to try and bridge this gap. What have you done? Talk about what helped, what made things worse, what helped you begin that healing relationship. Anybody want to talk about that? Let's see. Mita, can you help me navigate the comments? So, because I know a lot of you already have so many good ideas on how you've bridged the gap. Maybe you've created some distance. Maybe you've tried to talk to them. Let's engage in a dialogue. Hashan ana bazha from hearing myself. So I would love a little bit more engagement if you guys can do that. I know sometimes احنا خايفين نحط إشي in the comments. Oh, حدا بشوفه or حدا بشوف what I'm saying. We're going to change all that because we're going to get off social media and move us over to a platform where hopefully people won't be afraid to share. But anybody have any comments around that? Let's see. Refrain from discussing certain things. Yes. Lana, I created some distance. Yes, very good. I love these ideas because you're already doing so much. Let's see. Second to none. I have two personalities, one for myself and one for my family. Yeah. And I know in Western therapeutic, be your authentic self, right? I talk about that all the time. And I tell my Western colleagues, I'm like, can you please stop pathologizing Arab clients for having, two identities or two sense of selves? That a lot of that is what helps them bridge the gap between their families and themselves. Let's see, Julnar. Tried different communication styles, therapy, asking for group therapy. Nothing has worked. Only distance works, but I feel guilty about not being close. Yes. I love that you said that because you've tried everything. You've gone down this well over and it's like and I say this lovingly, Arab parents, but I just want to show you what Arab children experience. You're trying to shift your communication style. You go to therapy to get the skills that you need. You are saying, hey, let's come together and talk about it in group therapy, which more often than not doesn't happen. For now, and nothing has worked. It's like what that feels like is it's a bottomless pit. You're just dropping things in. That's how it feels. Nothing changes. It's demoralizing. It is frustrating. It is exhausting. And so one thing as Arab parents, what you need to recognize is like as Jilnar has articulated, is I've done everything. Now you are forcing my hand to create distance, not because I want to, it's because I've tried all these things to try and connect to you, and yet it's to no avail. So then when the child creates some distance from you, then you lay on the guilt. Went into ma b'tshuvkom, we never see you. You look what you're doing. You're separating yourself from us. And as Jilnar's mentioned, well, somebody wrote in the comments, I wish I could remember who they were. They said they have a PhD in guiltology, Arab guiltology. And it's many of us are, yes, highest degree in feeling guilty. Now, that's as a result of, first, you're not doing anything wrong, but it's that shame that we feel when we create distance from you because we are so connected to you that we cannot change this dynamic. And so there's this constant shame cycle. I try and connect with you. You don't give anything in return. And I'm sorry, Arab parents like Masadi, which helps, right? Masadi, Ekel is not enough for them to keep, at some point you're like, I love my mama's mahshi, but not enough to keep going into the lion's den. So to the Arab parent, please recognize they love you. There is not, okay, let me pause. I talk in here before people come at me in the comments. We're talking about a bell curve. Most of us lie in the middle. I'm not talking about the extreme parents that are openly hostile, damaging, abusive. I'm not talking about them. And I'm not talking about the healthy parents where you guys do a great job. Awesome. We love that for you. I'm talking about the middle Arab parent. So with that said, you guys have had, let's see, how are we doing in the comments, Mira? Mira, can you read some of them?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, Habibti, I can.
Okay, so we have Nice. She said, I don't share my family matters and I don't take their advice in anything seriously. And then
yeah, that's, Maze, I mean, that's taking, they're very good at giving advice from their lens, and you can respect that. Yet when you're, first of all, nobody wants advice. I don't give advice in here. I'm just saying, can you take a look at these things? Nobody wants advice. People want to be listened to. Okay. So if parents, you did more listening than advising and help your children to come up with their what calls to them, I can tell you through experience, professionally and personally, you can really help them develop a sense of autonomy where they will feel more connected to you. So yeah, Maze, I mean, you don't take their advice because part of it is you may respect your parents, and you may not respect how they're living their life. It may not be in alignment with you and your values.
Yeah. And then Mary said, I just go along with some of these discussions with my mom. Sometimes I simply agree with her because it gives me peace. You get to be right and I get to my peace.
I love that, Marie. Beautiful. Yes, Habibti. Exactly. And so you have to remember, by agreeing, it does, like by simply having, and then mom feels good about the interaction because there's no argument, there's no yelling, there's no siyah. You had a pleasant visit over ahwa or a nice phone call, and you just, okay. And people will say, well, that's not the type of relationship I want. I said, well, you can have tuash and arguing, or you can have your peace. And your peace with certain parents requires you to simply agree. Doesn't mean you have to agree. It just means you're saying, yeah, that's their experience. It's not easy. Don't listen. As soon as I said that, I was like reflecting on my own self. That is not easy. And I'm like trained. I work with this every day. And some days they catch you on when you're hungry, tired, just not in a good space. And all of that goes out the window. So that's where self-compassion, being kind with yourself, because it's going to be a work in progress. And, I say this gently and lovingly. Some Arab parents are very relentless. They will keep poking and poking and poking and poking until you flip out. And then you go into your shame cycle. Then you create distance, then more guilt. It really is just a continual work in progress. Okay. It's not linear within our cultural context at all. So one of the first steps in reparenting yourself, or in creating this neutrality and in bridging the gap, is acknowledging first what happened. Now, many people minimize their experiences because we will say things to ourselves like, my parents meant well. That's probably one of the most common things I hear. They're nice people, they're good people. No one is saying that. No one is saying they aren't loving, they aren't good people, but you may feel some shame even talking about acknowledging what happened to you or the impact of their behavior on you. And no one is saying that. No one is saying they're not loving. No one's saying they're not good people. Many parents truly did the best that they could. Some did, others did not. So remember that we're not talking about parents who intentionally abuse. I think I already talked about that. We're talking about families where people say, I have loving parents, they're good people, and at the same time, there are a lot of challenges in our communication and in our relationship. Now, if Arab parents were honest with themselves, they would say, yeah, like there's a lot of communication issue. And instead of blaming your adult Arab children, I'm going to gently and lovingly encourage you to go, could some of this dynamic be about me? Did I cross the boundary? Am I not listening? Am I continuing to engage in behaviors that upset them? Now, both can be true. Now, for the adult child, no matter what your parent does, it may never be good enough. You may keep hammering it over their head. You dumped my Pokemon cards when I was 7, which I have a video about that. Now, okay, they did it. It was messed up. They just threw out hundreds and thousands of dollars of yours. Excuse me. And how do you, again, heal that part of you to let go of the resentment so that you could move forward, not them? Because trust me, those resentments that you have towards your parents are going to show up in your partnerships. They're going to show up in your relationships with others. They're going to show up at work. Okay. So your healing is going to start with honestly naming the impact. I love them and they caused harm. That's number one. Number two, you want to stop looking outside yourself for validation. I could see this as a culture. This may not be you. Okay. Love that for you. I'm talking about the people who are constantly looking outside of themselves for validation. I see that a lot, particularly with Banat Arab. We are looking for that validation in a partner, at work, the intensive people pleasing, the going above and beyond. We want see me, hear me, love me. Now, this may stem from this dynamic between you and your parents. So it's about you validating yourself. If your emotional experience was dismissed growing up, as many of ours have been, it's very common to spend your adulthood looking for someone else to finally tell you your pain was real. And sometimes that shows up in constantly explaining yourself, oversharing, or hoping someone will finally say to you, yes, what happened to you was hard. Now, in my experience, personally and outside of a professional setting, I have rarely seen that in friendships. I have rarely seen that in familial relationships. Some work contexts, I've seen that. So it's rare to have someone emotionally attuned enough. And I think the younger generation, you guys are doing a better job at that for sure. Kudos to you guys. I see so much more emotional attunement where there is more validation to say, yes, what happened to you was hard. My generation above, insu. I have not seen it at all. That's not true. Maybe less than 1%. So instead, I want you to begin by taking the conversation inward, and you tell yourself, you breathe through it, you look within, you're in distress. That was hard. That was hard. What I went through was hard. For the men coming at me in the comments, oh, that's weak, you're not resilient, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not going down that road. Your strength comes from acknowledging that it was hard. Your strength comes from your vulnerability. Now, you saying to yourself, my feelings make sense. I don't need someone else's permission to acknowledge my experience. Because there's so much gaslighting that happens within our cultural context. And I know that's an overused word and blah, 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 but you will literally be a kid. You see something happening and they will say, no, you didn't see that. How many of you have had that experience? That didn't happen. No, not at all. And there's no flinch. There's no nothing. And you're a kid and you're going, oh my gosh. And then you start, because people denying what happened or telling you that it wasn't that bad when you have maybe scars. You may have memories of your parent hitting you, slapping you, right? And they're saying, no, that wasn't that bad. I remember a boy, he used to say, you turned out okay. Maybe I could have turned out better, Baba. You know what I mean? But they will deny what happened. So you have to practice, and it takes a lot of practice, trusting your internal experience. And that begins with daily recognition of your feelings and your emotions. Saying, okay, yeah, I was feeling cranky. What was that about? Oh, okay, this, and this happened. Or maybe I was feeling cranky because it was an internal wound. My friend really didn't mean to hurt me, but I'm experiencing that. Doesn't mean they hurt you. Maybe they did, but it may be from that lens of pain. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that it's multi-layered within our cultural context, and you have to do, well, you don't have to do anything, but I'll encourage you to do reflection on, okay, what am I feeling? Where am I at? If I'm feeling joy, why am I feeling joy? So you can create more joy. Why am I feeling sadness? Well, if you don't explore it, guess what? You get more sadness. So if you're feeling something, don't immediately dismiss it. Instead, ask, I'm feeling this way. Why? Your experience is real, even if somebody else refuses to acknowledge it. Okay. Now, the third thing, you want to learn your emotional triggers. So I know we hear this a lot, trigger. Okay. Another part of reparenting is learning to identify your emotional triggers. Okay. So notice when a comment from a parent, an auntie, uncle, cousin, sibling, El Giron, whatever, creates a reaction that may be much bigger than the moment itself. Sometimes I say to adult Arab children, I was like, have you gotten to the point where your parents' breathing triggers you? like just their presence triggers you. No, that's not the parents' fault. They're in the قاعدين مبسوطين, they're drinking their coffee and you're like, oh, you're already inflamed. Well, okay, this is where you may have allowed the resentments to come too far. So that's where the heir apparent, they could just be standing there breathing and you're already like, ah. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is notice what's underneath that feeling. It isn't the comment itself, because you've heard the comment probably 900 times already. It's the years of those unhealed wounds. And so you want to ask yourself, okay, they're telling me the same thing over and over again. Maybe they got creative and had to different things. You want to, what am I feeling right now? And you want to breathe through it and internally try not to focus too much on what they're saying and bring yourself inward. Okay, what am I feeling right now? Okay, I want to punch somebody or I want to run. Okay, don't want to do that. Okay, so when have I felt this before? Oh my gosh, I felt this my whole life. Okay, all right, your whole life. It's going to take you time. What memory does this bring up? Now, in that moment, you may feel like that 8-year-old that was shamed in front of everybody or was shamed or bullied. Okay. So when I have felt this before, what memory does this bring up? What part of me is being activated? Let me finish this thought and then we'll get to the comments. So maybe you realize this reminds me of those older wounds. Most of the time, it isn't about today's interaction. Okay. All right. Let's read. Mira, can you let me know the comments? How are we doing? How's everybody doing? Is this helpful or is it resonating? Anybody? Go ahead.
Marie said, she stated something I think is very important. She was talking about, first she said, you get to be right and I get my peace. She's the one that talked about when she talks with her mom. This is what she does, that her mom is right. And then her mom is right. And then she gets her peace. At the end of the day, I know what the truth is. I live my life that way I want. And then she said, when it comes to raising my children, though, my mom has to respect that the way my husband and I do things is different from the way she does them.
Oh my gosh, Marie, if I had a dime for how common this is. So this is where when the heir apparent does not respect the parenting style of the children, this is where marital conflict comes in. This is where when the heir apparent constantly inserts themselves, not only in the lives of the marital couple, but in the lives of the children, that is not one of the number one discords I see between married people. So to the heir apparent, if you want to see less divorce, perhaps take a look at meddling less. Okay, meddling less, letting them take care of themselves. Mira, were you going to say something?
No, it's just a great answer. Like the way you just said it was incredible.
Because I saw you, I was like, oh yeah. So, well, you know, they say, oh, our children, everybody's divorcing. Younger generation. I said, well, number one, you don't make marriage look hello. Mm-hmm. Number two, you meddle too much in the marriage that even before they get to the ceremony, they're already عارفين حالهم because you guys made it so hard and difficult for them. So then they're now on their honeymoon, if they have a honeymoon, and they're looking at each other and I'm like, I already hate you because your mother created so much problems and you didn't defend me. Like out the gate.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very hard. It's very bad.
It's so bad. So heir apparent, if you want to just, I always have this, there's what is that, Pink Floyd? Leave the kids alone, right? Just leave them alone. You raise them with good values, good stock, they're going to be fine. and let them come to you when they need issues. And for Arab men, I know الcrown, الجول, أبصر شو على فوق راسكم. Okay, I understand that. God bless you. Our mothers can be wonderful. Yet, if you put your wife and your partner over, like your mother over that, marital outcomes are going to be very challenging. So for the Arab mother or the Arab father who is constantly inserting themselves, just recognize that your children are going to please you first before their partner, and that doesn't create healthy marital relationships. Okay. All right. Where are we?
We do have another question. Would you like to answer it now?
Yeah, let's see and show the question.
Okay, Marie said, how can you recover from a habit of oversharing? Do you have any strategies for handling situations where you end up oversharing at work, in other professional settings?
Yeah, yes. One real quick, because you have, again, it's what I said earlier, you're seeking validation outside of yourself. So part of your work is starting to validate yourself internally. And then you want to understand the emotional trigger. So when you overshare, are you in a state of vulnerability? Have you not connected with someone? Excuse me. And so it does take practice. And the practice is before it's catching yourself, because it's an automatic response usually. I'm going to share my life story. And you don't even know this person. And in fact, if you do this in like when you're dating and you get involved with somebody who's very unwell, they're going to use all that oversharing to harm you or to manipulate you or to hurt you. So I always say use discernment in what you're going to share. So it's about stop. I love it. This comes out of dialectical behavior therapy, the stop skill. It's one of my favorite because it's easy. Well, easy to remember, not easy in practice. Stop. You're going to take a deep breath. You're going to objectively look at the situation, say, okay, a coworker maybe shares something. You're going to, before you respond, you're going to stop. You're going to take a deep breath. You're going to objectively look at, well, do I need to share parts of myself or are they just sharing? Do I really know this person to share anything? Then you want to proceed mindfully. Stop. T, take a deep breath, objectively look at the situation, and P, proceed mindfully. Because in that moment, you may say, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, right? And you want to pull yourself out of that telling somebody more than what that trust that you've established with them. And I tell people, if you're an oversharer, I would really encourage you to not share anything at all and just be an observer for a good week or so. And then you will start to observe, notice people, oh, I don't need to share that with that person. Oh, why did I tell that person that? Ooh, that. And you'll start to notice that there are very few people you should be sharing anything with. And then you will find your medium. But that takes a lot of practice, but I hope that helps. Okay. All right. All right, where are we? Okay, number 3, we want to learn your emotional triggers. I think I already shared that. Okay, let's see. No, let's keep going. There we go. Number 4, you want to meet the needs of your younger self. So what does that mean? When you're feeling distressed, you're feeling triggered, you want to ask your younger self, not the adult you. You want to ask the younger you, the way you would talk to a child. You would say, do you need comfort right now? Do you need encouragement? Do you need protection? Do you need permission to make mistakes? Do you need emotional attunement? Now, many of us were taught not to have any needs. Okay? So this may take you a while to say, okay, what do I need right now? So if you know you're going through a bad day at work, and if you call your mom or dad and they're not safe, and you call them and they make it worse for you, Or maybe you call them with joyous news of a promotion, and then it's met with, well, you didn't ask for enough money, and you're completely deflated. And that child in you is like thinking, oh my God, they've done this to me my whole life. And you're sitting in your car, you're sitting at a cafe, or you're on a walk, and you're just completely deflated. You tell yourself, what do I need right now? Well, I got a promotion. I need some encouragement. So you're going to tell yourself, you know what? Great job. You got that promotion, and you worked your butt off, and you deserve that promotion. And you're going to keep going. You're going to keep moving forward because you did that work. Great job. Now, it may feel silly. You may feel uncomfortable because you're not used to that. When I do that for Arab clients in the room, now I know, again, the difference between Western therapists and in our cultural context, clinical work is Western. Oh, you're crossing boundaries. You're parenting them. I said, I come from an indigenous culture, people, where we had elders who were there to support and uplift the younger generation. So yeah, I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to offer you comfort. I'm going to give you protection. And if that's a boundary, I'll tell you a boundary. I will give permission to make mistakes. So sometimes you need someone out, like a clinical person, to give you that corrective emotional experience. But if you're not in therapy, you want to be able to do that for yourself. And okay, you made a mistake, you're ruminating, I shouldn't have texted that girl or guy, I'm so dumb. You're going to take a deep breath, you're going to stop, and you're going to objectively look at it and say, okay, all right, that sweetie, ex-sweetie, I know better. I should not have texted that person. I made a mistake. It was okay. You weren't ready to let go. Take a look at why you're not ready to let go. Okay. All mistakes, most mistakes can be corrected. But it's about giving yourself permission to give yourself grace around those mistakes. Otherwise, you're just going to be in this ruminating, punishing cycle. And you want to begin giving those things to yourself with the compassionate self-talk, supportive relationships. So you may have friends that can offer you protection, encouragement, saying it's okay. Find those friends. Have more supportive relationships. Many of you are so isolated. You don't have, and you don't need a lot of friends to do that. Maybe one or two. Many of you don't have anybody, and you're left reeling in this human experience, trying to figure it out on your own. It's too hard. So find the supportive relationships. Give yourself that genuine self-care. Now, self-care is not going to the spa or taking a vacation. I mean, tell you, those things may help, but really the genuine self-care is being gentle with yourself in what you say to yourself. Okay. You know, there were many times I would sit in my car crying, completely overwhelmed. And I knew if I called my parents and the good people, solid people, okay, that I probably wouldn't get much emotional attunement. So I had to try. And I've tried many times, and you may do this. You may try many times to try and elicit that response from them. Don't beat yourself up. It's a normal thing for a child to want to connect with their parent. But every time I didn't receive it, I was a fighter. So I would become frustrated. I would get pissed off. I'd start throwing things, punching things. Oh my gosh, don't do that. But again, if you do, I get it. And eventually you realize something important, that your mother or your father may show love differently. They may bring you food. They may cook amazing meals for you. And they may be generous financially. And those are genuine expressions of their love and how they can give you love. They may bail you out when in your, like in crisis, they're usually like, they'll bail you out, right? They're pretty good in that. But once you accept that, that this is all that they are able to give you, that's all they're capable of giving, then
Oh,
mira,
live on TikTok has ended.
why?
Um,
Did the Zios find me?
it said, oh, I don't know. Can we try to do it again? I think everyone there will still try to join.
It goes against their guidelines. Violent and criminal behavior.
It says that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bringing people together, not promoting conflict. We don't allow threats, glorifying violence, or promoting crimes. Oh my God. Okay, well, sorry, TikTok. Yalla, IG and YouTube. Believe it. I think هن سقطوني.
Yeah. The algorithm is sometimes.
That's a Palestinian in me. I'm like, I'm trying to promote love and compassion and bringing our people together and not creating divide. And they're like, العرب is اللي هن بجمعوا. We're in big trouble. We better be off the internet.
Yeah, Sara says TikTok is so crazy. It sometimes is, honestly.
Okay. No. Well, TikTok, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Now I lost my train of that criminal behavior. Good Lord.
Oh my God.
Okay. Where was I? Okay. So I was talking about that dynamic between the parent and the child. So you can recognize what your parents can do really well. Maybe they do good things. So it's about recognizing this is what they can do. This is all they're capable of doing. And then you want to go inward and tell yourself, Habibi, Habibti, you did a great job. Look at everything that you've carried all throughout your life. Okay? Look at, you can do this. I'm here for you. When you have your own back, there's no situation you can get out of. Okay? You have your own back. No one else. And for many of you that are people of faith, you have you and your faith. Now, I know that can get complicated for some of you. I'm talking about those that have a healthy, loving relationship with their faith, that it's you and your faith. Nothing can get you out of that. Okay? Nothing can harm you as a result of that. Okay? Let me rephrase that. Things can happen to you. And if you have those two things, you will move through it. And I'm not saying it's easy. Now, number 5 is you want to build a strong, which leads me into you want to build a strong identity. So as you begin to reparent yourself, all the things, identify the triggers, validate yourself. An important part of your healing is developing a strong sense of your identity. Now, many of you get very confused between your Arab cultural identity and then all the other identities you may hold. So you want to do, again, you want to siphon out what that is. And we're coming out with a ebook that will discuss these things. But you want to base your identity on your values. Now, they may have some overlap with your family's values or cultural values. Some of them they may not. Your goals, what are your goals? Who are the relationships? Okay. So, and then the number 6 is practicing realistic expectations. And this is where I talked about you're accepting your parents' emotional capacities. And for many of your parents, it is very limited. So you keep hoping one more conversation will finally make them the parent you've always wanted. Healing begins when you stop asking that. Why can't they be different? Who, and then instead you say, who are they showing me they are? What is it? When people show you who they are, believe them, believe them. That's all they can give you. But what's that child wanting more? That's what you need to heal. Then you ask, okay, what can I reasonably expect from this relationship? What can I reasonably, and sometimes parents can say some really good things and that will seduce you into getting roped back into that dynamic with them. Just recognize, I can expect that maybe sometimes they could be emotionally attuned, The majority of the time they're not. Try not to get roped into that because you will get hurt all over again. Sometimes it's practical help. Sometimes it's food. Sometimes it's the traditions. Sometimes the family stories, the Hilu family stories, not the ones, Ibn Khal Am Abu did something 15 years ago. You have to hear the same story. But I'm talking about the nice stories of back home. So you want to have realistic expectations to reduce repeated disappointment. 7, you want boundaries are not punishment. So I know people say, oh, we need to have boundaries. What does boundaries mean? The Arab parent may internalize your boundary as punishment. So for the Arab parents out there, your child is not punishing you. They need a little bit of respite, a little bit of breathing room. So I often call it Arab finesse, right? So boundaries, you're not rejecting your family. Arab parents out there, they are not rejecting you. Believe me, they love you and they want to connect with you and they want to be with you. Your way in moving in that space may make it very hard for them to do that because you're not respecting the boundaries. Think of boundaries as guidelines that help you remain emotionally healthy. So what does that mean? You may not answer the phone in the morning when you need space. You may shorten the visits. You may be, we were talking about in one of the groups, like dish duty, like you may be the person that loves doing the dishes because you're there, but you're not there, right? And then you're doing something very culturally acceptable. You're cleaning, right? And you're giving yourself that respite. So it's important for you to ask yourself, what are the boundaries that and they're very small. Start small. I don't need to pick up the phone. Okay, out of the 15 times I'm being called, maybe I pick up 5. Or when you're in the middle of something that's care for you, unless it's an emergency, now they will keep calling, so you think it's an emergency. Is this an emergency? If it's, la, I just wanted to tell you, you say, I'll be back in an hour, right? You want to be able to set those boundaries for you. One of the biggest things, 8, is developing self-compassion is huge. You're going to do this over because we're so punishing to ourselves. My gosh, I said, if you could take Arab guilt, and bottle it up, man, it's powerful and it hurts and it's painful. Okay. Now, when we come from a collective culture, which is the crux of Community for International Arab, is healing happens while we're together. Everybody in the comments sharing, everybody engaging. This is how we heal. Now, we may have trauma as a result of our collective culture. Well, equally, we have healing. And this is what we bring. We bring hope that we can move through this individually together. And so while some of our wounds happened in our Arab relationships or in our community relationships, healing can also happen through our relationships, or when you meet other Arab who are healthy and whole and on the not similar path, that bridges the gap with your parents because now you have other outlets besides them to connect to. All right, we're almost done. Let's see. So let me just close by saying, bridging the connection between parents and adult children isn't about deciding who's right or who's wrong, that all or nothing thinking that we move into. It's about creating enough safety, curiosity, and compassion that both experiences exist in the same room. What does that look like for the parent? If your child is coming to you with an emotional need, you create safety for them by listening. Now, you may be inflamed, you may be flipping out and on the inside. You keep breathing. I'm here for you, Habibi, Habibti. I'm listening. Don't advise, don't jump in, don't flip out. I've done that. So just, again, don't have me sit here. I've done that. And it's easy to do because they're your child and you love them. You don't want to see them suffering. Take a step back. Be curious. If they want to pursue something they want to pursue, be curious in that. For the adult Arab child, how do you create safety for yourself? Where are the relationships? What are the boundaries? What are the exploration of your emotional triggers? How do you create that safety for you? And that may be creating distance from your Arab family until you can get shored up and get your sea legs underneath you so that you can navigate those dynamics in a healthier way, not for them, well, by default for them, but for you, because you want to stay connected, yet you want to develop more skills before you go into the lion's den. You want to be curious. Okay, that's that inner child work. Be curious. Well, how do I need to take care of myself? What is happening for me right now? And you could be reacting to a memory from when you were very little. And at the foundation of all of that is having compassion for your parents, compassion for yourself. Everyone is struggling in their own way. And how can, parents, you remember your sacrifices and your intention, your intentions were always good. No one disputes that. And the challenges that you face, it's not lost on the Arab child, what you've done and what you've sacrificed and what you, believe me, they're thinking about it every single day. That's why that guilt is so strong when they cannot make you happy, which is not their job. But that's why that guilt is so strong, that shame is so strong, because every day they're thinking about it and they want to do right by you. But no matter what they do, it's never enough. And so adult children often remember how these experiences felt, and their needs were unmet many times because of the NAS. The NAS and the community took precedent over them. And they're saying, where do I fit in all of this? And so healing begins when we move away from defending and we move towards listening. We need to listen better. Active listening. Away from blame. We need adult children, stop blaming your parents for everything. Take accountability for your life. Yeah, they messed up. Yeah, they did harm. But at some point you need to stop and ask yourself, okay, what do I want to do for this? So I'm not repeating the same patterns with my kids. So stop blaming them and move towards understanding yourself and understanding them. Move away from assumptions. Don't always assume. Arab parents, don't always assume when your kid wants to go out or do something that they're off doing drugs, sex, whatever, because you guys go to extremes. They're just going to have coffee and they're doing all these terrible things. Well, they might start if you don't leave them alone. Sorry, just kidding, just creating some lightness. And you have to remember, the goal isn't agreement. Okay. Everyone can have their perception of what happened. And it's about saying, okay, that's not this agree to disagree stuff. I have a whole video on that. It's about, that's not how I remember it. And I'm here to listen to what happened. And it's okay to say, I'm sorry, I hurt you. I'm sorry that how I was moving in the world created this impact on you. The goal is creating a relationship where both people can feel seen and heard and validated, not just your parents, but you too. And if you can't get that from them, you get it from somewhere else. If we want to strengthen our Arab families, which the foundation is already there, that's a strength. We are together, but how are we moving together? Many Arab families are together, but there's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of upheaval. So the strongest families are not the families without conflict. Okay, we already know there's plenty of conflict. They're the families that learn how to stay connected through conflict. And that requires moving past the pains that have caused the ruptures. And that begins with you doing your work so that when you go back in, you could say, who I am is not defined by how they respond to me. And when people feel safe enough together, you choose connection. That's where connection begins. So even I think Jilnar was saying, or somebody was saying, I don't say anything. So they're staying connected. And sometimes that's what we need to do in our Arab families. And how do you be okay with that? Okay. All right. That's all she wrote, folks.
Wow, I can't believe that's part 3. Like, this itself it felt like it was so much amazing information. How is that part 3?
I don't know. I'm still reeling from criminal behavior and being banned off TikTok. That's why we're moving off of social media. I'm letting you guys know. Yes. I don't want these people dictating how I'm doing the work and serving my community, because they are unwell. So we're moving off of these platforms. That's going to be happening soon. Mita and I are working diligently to create a safe space, because this is clearly not a safe space and so we're creating more safety, more containment, so we can engage in healthy dialogues without worrying about the powers that be shutting you down for, I don't know why, but it doesn't matter.
That's right. And it's a great thing. It's a huge thing. And we're excited to tell you about it, but just know that we're just making this happen for you and to make sure that we're in a safer environment, because yes, it's hard being able to have all this wisdom and all this information and then having someone come in, talk about something totally crazy, or having an algorithm.
Yeah, that happens too. Yeah, it's the wild, wild west out here in the social media land. Yeah. But what we're doing is we're hearing the needs of our community members. So we get a lot of DMs that talk about how we need more spaces like this, and so we're definitely creating more spaces. We're really excited. Let's see. I think we have time for. Oh no, خلصنا.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We are done. Real quick, locate a therapist. Feel free to DM us, and we've got some research. We've got the Arab Therapist Directory, but feel free to DM us, and we'll be more than happy to see if we can find a referral for you. Okay, and check out the website. We've got lots of cool things, and if this resonates with you and you feel like you want to do the deeper work, I'm here to consult in any way that I can, and you can find all those things on the website. Yeah. All right, everybody. As we say every live, nawar, that the light in me sees the light in you. And join us next Wednesday for another great topic on Arab families, or our Arab culture and ourselves. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.